Story number 1. The first time I saw Alexei, the new trainer at Fit Future's gym, I was struck by an odd sense of curiosity, mixed with an inexplicable wariness. His workouts were legendary from day one, a blend of intensity and charisma that drew you in, regardless of your fitness level. I, like many, was desperate to break through my own plateaus, so I signed up for personal training sessions with him. Alexei was unlike any trainer I had known. He had this way of looking into your eyes, seeing the parts of you that you kept hidden, even from yourself. "It's all about breaking barriers," he'd say with a smile that never quite reached his eyes. Our sessions started intense but standard, focusing on my goals of strength and endurance. However, as weeks passed, the nature of our workouts shifted in a way that I couldn't initially pinpoint, but felt deeply uncomfortable. He started to incorporate elements that targeted not just my physical limits but my deepest fears and insecurities. Isolation exercises became literal. He'd have me train in the gym's basement, far from the supportive glances of fellow gym-goers. To focus, he claimed, but the solitude weighed heavily on me. Then came the vulnerability. Exercises positioned me in ways that left me feeling exposed and defenseless, my body strained to its limits, often in positions that risked injury. If I voiced concern, Alexei's smile would broaden, his encouragement turning into taunts that danced dangerously close to mockery. Injuries began to accumulate, first small niggles that I brushed off as part of the process, but then more serious ones that couldn't be ignored. Alexei's satisfaction at my setbacks was palpable, a glint in his eye that I couldn't understand. "Pain is the gateway to improvement," he'd say, but this felt different, twisted somehow. Curiosity turned to suspicion, and I started to dig into Alexei's past. It wasn't easy. He had covered his tracks well, but the truth eventually surfaced. He had been involved in a controversial experimental psychology program, one that explored the manipulation of the human psyche through fear, pain, and isolation. His methods at the gym were not about fitness. They were about control, breaking down the individual to rebuild them according to his own disturbed philosophy. Realization dawned too late for me. My body and mind bore the scars of his experiments, a testament to his twisted success. I left the gym, but the lessons lingered, a constant reminder of the cost of naivete. Alexei disappeared not long after, his dark appetite presumably leading him to a new hunting ground, leaving behind a trail of broken individuals struggling to piece themselves back together. In the aftermath, I found solace in the company of fellow victims, our shared experiences forming the basis of a fragile recovery. We were a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a stark contrast to the darkness that had sought to consume us. The gym became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the fine line between pushing limits and breaking spirits. Story number 2. My name's Carlos, and I've been getting serious about working out lately, aiming to get in top shape for the upcoming baseball season. The gym I go to is one of those old-school places with a locker room that feels like it stretches on for miles. It's always given off a spooky vibe, mostly because of the dim lighting and the way sounds seem to echo endlessly. But things have taken a turn for the stranger recently. Whispers among the gym members have been circulating about odd noises, like distant weeping, echoing through the locker room long after it should be empty. Some folks even claim to catch sight of shadows darting around, only to vanish when they did a double take. I brushed these stories off as just some elaborate pranks until I experienced it myself one evening. Finishing up my workout after everyone else had left, I suddenly caught the sound of soft crying coming from deep within the locker room. Thinking someone was just messing with me, I decided to check it out. That's when things started to get weird. As I ventured deeper, the familiar layout of the locker room began to warp in ways that made no sense. Passageways twisted oddly, and doors I remembered leading somewhere just circled me back. It felt as if the locker room was reshaping itself around me. My heart raced when I found the exit door firmly shut, locking me inside. With my phone forgotten in my locker, isolation sank in. It was during this frantic search for another way out that I stumbled upon an ancient section of the locker room, cleverly hidden behind some of the newer renovations. This forgotten corridor was like stepping into a different era, Everything was draped in dust, and the air felt heavy with neglect. In the corner, a collection of belongings caught my eye, scattered as if their owner had fled in haste. Among the discarded items, a journal stood out, bearing the name Alberto Gomez. Alberto was a former gym-goer who had mysteriously disappeared a while back, his departure shrouded in rumors and silence. Flipping through the pages revealed Alberto's accounts of being persistently harassed by a group of gym members, the encounters growing increasingly hostile. The last entry ominously hinted at a planned face-off in the locker room, a meeting that seemed to have never taken place. Trapped in that eerie, altered reality of the locker room for the night, surrounded by the remnants of Alberto's plight, dawn couldn't come soon enough. When daylight broke, the twisted hallways and doors reverted to their usual layout, allowing me my escape from that nightmare. Armed with the journal, I approached the gym's management, demanding action. This led to an investigation that uncovered the old, abandoned sections of the locker room, revealing the truth about Alberto's disappearance. He had sought refuge in these neglected areas to avoid his tormentors, only to become trapped. Somehow, he managed to escape the confines of the gym and the city, leaving behind a life marred by fear. The revelation transformed the ghostly rumors into a stark reality of bullying and the extremes to which it can drive someone. In response, the gym acknowledged its oversight, both in the maintenance of its facilities and in fostering a safe community. Initiatives were launched to promote respect and support amongst members, ensuring Alberto's ordeal would serve as a wake-up call for change. Story number 3. My name is Kai, and my sanctuary was the local gym nestled on the outskirts of our bustling city. It was my escape, a place where stress melted away with each drop of sweat. The gym was a modest building, but it boasted a dedicated community, where faces became familiar and friendships formed amidst the clanking of weights and the steady rhythm of treadmills. It started subtly, whispers of unexplained rashes that danced along the limbs of the most devoted members. I noticed it first on Min Jun, whose dedication to fitness was unmatched. His skin, usually clear, was marred by angry red welts. "Just an allergic reaction," he had said, brushing off my concern with a forced smile. Days turned into weeks, and the whispers grew louder. More members started to show signs of distress. Li Wei, a friend I had made during endless cycles of spin classes, confided in me about her breathing difficulties, a tightness in her chest that clung to her only within the walls of our gym. The tipping point came suddenly. Mid-workout, Li Wei collapsed, her breath shallow, face pale as the moon. Panic erupted as members rushed to her aid, the air thick with fear and confusion. As we waited for the ambulance, I couldn't shake the feeling that the gym, our sanctuary, was turning against us. In the following days, the gym became a ghost town. Members were afraid, their trust shattered by the incidents. Conversations buzzed with theories of a virus, but I couldn't ignore the pattern. These ailments only manifested within the confines of the gym. Driven by a mix of concern and curiosity, I approached the owner, Mrs. Chen, a stern woman whose life revolved around the gym. I voiced my observations, suggesting that something within the gym might be making us sick. Initially dismissive, the gravity of the situation soon became impossible to ignore. The investigation was slow, hindered by reluctance and fear of what might be found. Finally, a team of environmental specialists was called in, their equipment alien in the familiar setting of our gym. They tested the air, the surfaces, the very essence of the place that had been our refuge. The verdict was a silent bombshell. Toxic mold flourishing in the damp recesses of the locker rooms, chemical fumes from improper cleaning practices, and a ventilation system that recirculated rather than refreshed the air we breathed so deeply. The realization hit me like a physical blow. Our sanctuary of health had been silently poisoning us. The symptoms we dismissed as overtraining or allergies were warnings, signs of our bodies rebelling against the very environment we sought solace in. The gym closed for remediation, but the damage was done. Trust was shattered, friendships strained as members grappled with the betrayal. Some recovered quickly, their symptoms fading with the gym's closure, but others, like Li Wei, faced a longer road to recovery, their bodies scarred by the exposure. The horror of what happened wasn't found in jump scares or shadowy figures, but in the slow realization that our sanctuary had become our cell. The place we had come to for strength had sapped ours, a silent thief in the night. In the months that followed, the gym slowly transformed. Walls were torn down, systems replaced, and a new dedication to safety and transparency was born from the ashes of our trust. Mrs. Chen apologized, her remorse genuine, but the shadow of what happened lingered. I returned to the gym when it reopened, the familiar faces fewer but resilient. We shared an unspoken bond, survivors of a different kind of horror story. The gym was cleaner, brighter, but the memories of what occurred haunted its halls like ghosts. The experience left me wary, a reminder of the dangers hidden in plain sight, of the consequences of negligence. But it also taught me about resilience, about the strength found in community, and the power of speaking up when something feels wrong.